Hello, I'm Ben from Digi Technical Support. In this video, I'm going to show you how to configure Wi-Fi as a WAN interface on a router running Digi Accelerated Linux. For this demo, I'm using a TX54 running firmware 23.9.20.63. The only configuration I've done so far is to add the APNs to bring up the wireless WAN interface, and I've connected the Ethernet WAN interface to a switch. If we have a quick look at the routing table, we can see there that Ethernet 1 is the preferred default route and the wireless WAN interface is the backup route. So let's start the configuration. We go into System, Device Configuration, into Network, Interfaces, and we'll just quickly review the configuration. So WAN 1 is the wired Ethernet connection. The metric is currently set to 1. It's a DHCP client, and SureLink is pre-configured on this interface. So if there are any communications problems picked up by a DNS test failing, the interface is going to get restarted. While I'm in here, I'm just going to reduce this timer. So I'm going to reduce this down to test every 1 minute. Moving down to WAN 1, so this is the modem or cellular interface. I've pre-configured the APNs to ensure that the cellular connection is up into IPv4. The metric on there is currently set to 3, second best default route. Again, we're going to go into SureLink and change this time so it tests every 1 minute. Check the test, it's a DNS test, and there's plenty of recovery actions. So let's just apply those settings first of all. The next job is to configure the Wi-Fi radio interface. So scroll down into Wi-Fi and then Wi-Fi radio. You can change these if needed. I'm going to leave these as default. Then into access points and disable the current access point. Further down into hotspot and just make sure this is also disabled. Then into client mode connections, and I'm going to add this as a Wi-Fi client mode connection. I'm just going to call it Wi-Fi client. Pick the radio. On this device it's nice and easy, there's only one. Into the SSID, add in the SSID of the access point is going to be connecting to. I know for this demo the access point is called main AP, and I'm going to add the pre-shared key. So we've got the client connection configured. The next thing we need to do is add a network interface that's related to this Wi-Fi client. So in the network interfaces section, we're going to add a interface, and we're just going to call it Wi-Fi_WAN and add that. The type is Ethernet. The zone will be external, and this will ensure that source NAT is enabled and there are certain firewall restrictions applied to incoming traffic on this interface. The device will be the Wi-Fi client that we configured in the previous step. IPv4. This is going to be a DHCP assigned IP address, and for the moment we're going to set this metric to a really high value of 20. I'm going to scroll down, go into SureLink, enable this, and I'm going to set it up the same as the other interfaces. So test interval every 1 minute. There's a DNS test there by default. The recovery actions are going to be the same as the other interfaces. So the first option is going to be update the routing table. So we change that recovery type to change default gateway, and it's going to just increase the metric if there's a problem with this network interface. Then we're going to add another action, and it's going to be restart interface. And then we can apply that. So let's go back and have a look at the routing table again. And that shows we now have 3 default routes, and they're in the order wired WAN, wireless WAN, and Wi-Fi client. What we need to do now is alter the metrics to put the Wi-Fi client in the middle. The easiest way to do this is change the metric of the Wi-Fi client to 2. So let's go back to the configuration. Into the Wi-Fi WAN interface, change the metric to 2 and apply that. Go back to the routing table, and we can see there that the routing has now been updated to say that wired WAN interface is preference with metric 1. The Wi-Fi client, that's the Wi-Fi WAN interface, has a metric of 2 and will be used if the wired Ethernet interface goes down, and then wireless WAN 1 will be used as the backup. Now I can check this. If I just disconnect the wired WAN interface on the router that's behind me, we can now see that the Wi-Fi client has moved into the primary default route position. And that's the configuration now complete. I hope you found this useful, and thank you for watching. For more information on this or any other feature of your Digi router, please see the support pages at digi.com/support.